Pisces Mars at the North Node, it doesn't present itself like you aggressively going forward. It does the opposite, where it stops you from resisting, or it stops you from presenting rigid boundaries that prevents you from going forward at the right time. Because timing really is everything. Mars in Pisces keeps you in a flow state where you can stay consistent with the spirit, with intuition, with the schedule of the forces of essence, rather than your cognitive ideals or cycles that you're used to. Everything about this North Node direction is going to have significance with your personal numerological year. If you haven't clarified that already, I don't know what you're waiting on. You've got to unpack, examine, study, contemplate your personal numerological year and apply it to all that Jupiter is doing through the North Node. Jupiter is facilitating this. It's relieving you of getting lost in the time clock of Capricorn, is what Jupiter's doing. So that you could flow into the North Node and not work your way into it. Get that. Flow into it. But you must not get distracted by that. You have to understand that the flow is grace, opportunity, and it's afforded to you for a reason, not just for you to be complacent, delusional, sightseeing, and getting lost. Honor what you learned through what you just suffered. Honor it. Pisces Mars at the North Node, you're being called to go forward. You're being called to make a decisive action. Mars is going to demand decisiveness. It's going to demand that you make a decision, that you choose. And you will either choose growth or comfort. Growth, there's going to be vulnerabilities behind the direction that your soul is called to go in, North Node. And you will recognize the opportunity, but it will present itself as something that you just can't do. You don't feel comfortable. It's intimidating. I'm not sure of myself. But your soul will be compelled to drive you forward, knowing that it's the point of growth, the direction of opportunity in which the life path continues on in its meaning. It's where fulfillment is clarified to us. We know that in that direction is fulfillment. In that direction is a continuation of my story. And I have to go that way. I have to take this action. It's intimidating. I'm uncomfortable. But I know it's what I must do. It's not going to be exactly clear. Because Mars is not reading a clear picture, Mars is reading the intuitive body. It's reading the conviction that is being demanded even from Sagittarius in square Black Moon Lilith. That's reading from the past life themes of the past transit of Gemini, Jupiter, direct and retrograde motion, and those conclusive findings, which is also in square, that hindsight. It's reading these things. And it's demanding a decision. It's demanding that we be decisive according to the conviction that we hold. Not necessarily the data, the facts, the clear picture, because there is no clear picture. There's no clear picture. It's the sperm that's swimming upstream. It just knows that it has to swim. It's the salmon that's going against the current to swim upstream. It just knows that it has to go the opposite direction than what may be obvious. The soul knows. Sagittarius Black Moon Lilith in square. It's a demand of the conviction in the self. I have to do this because it's the only direction that clarifies to you in the soul at Sagittarius where your suppressed energy can find a means of relief, a means of finding its way out of constriction, restriction, silence. It's the path that it must take if I am to put myself in position to incorporate the demands of Sagittarius Black Moon Lilith. That is 9th house Sagittarius, point of expansion, versus the 3rd house, point of familiarity. We're not headed in the direction of what is familiar. We're headed in the direction of where there's growth. We don't have a prediction. We don't have a knowing. We don't have a familiarity. We just know that this is a direction that our soul has to go in. And there is something artful and expressive about this direction because it's pulling off of the 5th house. Our creativity. And where is this coming from? Aries, which hosts one of the territories in the self where we relate to Mars. The I am. Venus is with the I am. And the I am, through Venus, it wants to identify with its 5th house. It wants to identify with Leo. It wants to identify with the light of itself. It wants to identify with the expression of its inner child. It has to facilitate and find an environment, a direction, a reality that echoes back that you are who you are convicted that you are. Essentially, what this will echo back to you is the heart, soul, urge, value that you are, which is the I am, Mars and Sun. And it is through the particular life path that you have and your North Node destiny. And in the transiting North Node point of destiny is presenting an opportunity where you can facilitate that. And where does this all come together as an initiation? It comes together as an initiation in the fact that Jupiter direct motion in Cancer wants to facilitate environment, circumstance, resources, the materialization of that which reflects all of this meaning in the identity. There has to be a world that gives you the feedback that says you are who you claim you are. There has to be the reality, the material reality. You have to touch the ground. You have to touch the soil that says you have made it home. This is your destiny. This is where you're supposed to be. And where do we find this at? Taurus. There has to be a sensational connection to the I am. Venus hosts Taurus. Mars hosts Aries. And who do we have at the cusp of Aries and Taurus as we speak? That is Ceres. Ceres hosts both Virgo and Cancer. The dissatisfaction or the point of acceptance that we have finally reached and letting go of rigid expectations, control, fighting out of frustration to control the outcome, to maintain a pattern of futility, to perfect something that is already complete in our life as a story and it's time to move on. We have to fall back into the essence of spirit to find new journey, new pathway, new meaning, new story, new theme, new set, new stage. The curtains close and we open the curtains back up to a new scene, a new story. And this has to happen. But Ceres is what is next going to facilitate that. Ceres already completed Aries. Now the North Node is setting us up for Ceres completion of Taurus. And that is, according to the I am, what do I value? What reflects who I am? In the second house. What edifies the self-esteem of this refined person? What is going to finance the mission of this refined person? What resources are needed for the refined person? What physical reality is needed to reflect back that I have found and claimed my identity? What aligns me with the capacity of me, the person? We find our capacity in that which we are able to cultivate in life of value. What we're able to claim in life of value. What we're able to accept, receive, embrace of value. What we're able to produce of value. Value is the next thing after identity. What value is assigned to the identity? What value is with the identity? What value is required for the fruition and fulfillment of the identity? All of this is in Taurus, and Ceres is at the cusp of Aries and Taurus. As the North Node is demanding a decisive action that you read through the intuitive. That Sagittarius knows the direction of, that Black Moon Lilith knows how it must be. This starts the fulfillment of the second house. This starts the fulfillment of Taurus, which upholds the first house. It upholds Aries. It transfers self-esteem to Aries. It transfers confidence to Aries. It clarifies value in Aries. It sustains and maintains Aries. It preserves Aries. That is Taurus. It It is the soil that feeds the seed of the self that I am. Earth. This is the phase of Taurus series that we are initiating through Jupiter backing us with expansion in the 4th house in Cancer, expansion at Sagittarius and Pisces, and the combination of these points, what it reads is, we, the universe, or we, source, spirit, Allah, God, Olodumare, I don't care what you want to call it, source, we will provide and we will facilitate your needs to arrive restfully to your destiny, to align peacefully with your destiny. To take command of your destiny with emotional surplus and not depletion. And this requires us to surrender many levels of control that we're used to. The anxiety that you have about what you got going on at Virgo, yes, I know you got anxiety about it because you can't learn to let the shit go. It's not perfect. I know it's all fucked up. I know it don't make sense. I know you may not want to admit what you got going on there, because you still think it has to be perfect, but it doesn't. I get it. Through the contraction of Jupiter in Cancer, we experience an overwhelm and depletion of our emotional capacity at Capricorn, running ourselves into a damn hole, running the rubber off of the tires. And at 11 o'clock, here comes Jupiter. Not a minute late, not a minute early, to scoop us up off of the side of the road like roadkill, parched, thirsty, dehydrated, scabbed up, scarred up, beat up, can't go on. And lo and behold, the point of destiny hosts Mars that demands an action. Your ride is here. The Chariot card. Forward motion. Take action. Be decisive. Discomfort for growth. Vulnerability for growth. What are you gonna do? Let's go. Get your ass up. Let's go. Jupiter will be facilitating the creative power at Pisces. Creativity is everything for us right now, people. Please understand this. Creativity is everything for us, people. Creativity. That creativity, it has us to have to learn to let go of control and flow. Jupiter is taking care of everything that we thought we had to control. That's what I need you to understand. Jupiter is facilitating that which we required our own rigid control to find contentment for. So it's subsidized by Jupiter. It's per diem by Jupiter. It's put on the tab of Jupiter. so that you can concentrate on creativity. I've been telling you people for the past 2 fucking years with this shit. At this point, it should be clear to you what your point of creativity is. What your talent or gift is, what your purpose is, why you came to earth. It should be clear to you. It should be evident to you. It should not be confusing at this point. It's hard when your ride comes and it's honking a horn outside and you're still in the fucking bed. You ain't even got your drawers on, nigga. You're still in the bed. You weren't ready. Your ride is here. Your ride is outside. We're getting out. We have found our way out by the grace of Allah of the rat race. I can say that even though I know most of us still have the residue of that energy, okay? We have the residue of that energy. But what I could say with conviction is that your personal year is scheduled to show you that that is the case. And it's Jupiter that hosts your personal numerological year. And your personal numerological year does not include you working for the system. It doesn't include you supporting the Capricorn, Rothschild, Rockefeller ideal. The wicked monster. It includes you finding a route of privacy to operate. It's as if you becoming a private citizen, common law, because you found equity in the self. You finally realize that the self does come with equity. Your 5th house. The self comes with its own jurisdiction. Cancer. Its own constitution and law. Scorpio and Cancer. It comes with its own vision and mission statement. Pisces and the 12th house. It comes with its own identity and concept. And manifests physical form in the flesh. 1st house, Aries. It comes with your own life path. But we're the ones who fail to clarify it while we have all of the tools to do this. We are a unique community. Astrology is here as opportunity for us to be ahead of the race, to be aligned, to be in tune, to know what's happening. Why do we have anxiety and we know? Fear is the enemy of all of us. It's our common enemy, fear. Fear should not be there. Your creativity, your faith, your conviction, your anxiousness to express what is held within, your enthusiasm to indulge and obsess in what you know you came to earth for. That alone is enough to overwhelm all fear. And we learn the lessons not to become entrapped, entangled in the misconceptions of falling in love versus loving. Let me say it again. We learned the lessons since 2018 of the difference between falling in love and loving. Obsessive control, attachment. toxic mutual oppression, assumptions, entitlements, self-betrayal, codependency and narcissism, the runner and the chaser, the twin flame dynamics that train us to understand what love really is and what it's really about and what it's not. So we should be able to trust ourselves at this point with love, to handle it responsibly, to understand that it is a resource. It's an immunity. It's a protection. It's a safe haven. It's a cure-all, like ferrous phosphate. Pisces. It's eternal wisdom and inspiration that never dies. But when we try to control it, when we try to own it, it flies away from us like a dove that was on our shoulder, but we move too fast. It slips away from us. And we, the human, the thing that we don't like to do is reflect about the self and what we have done to drive that white dove away. Don't try to control or contain love. Experience love. Act through love. Be with love. Demonstrate love. Embody love. But don't use love as a justification for your attempt to control or attach to others, or you will lose it. Creativity is the call of the day. Imagination. Is your imagination free, or is it full of toxic thoughts? Disappointments, fears, failures, desperation, trauma. That's not what your imagination is for. It's for dreaming, it's for believing, it's for raising love, it's for pushing light, intelligence, wisdom. When Mars presents, or the North Node presents, that it's time for decisiveness. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's an hour where you have to choose and jump in the loop, but it means that this is a starting point in which you have to make up your mind in where you're going and why you're going. Have your why factor. Because all is about to conspire to align you with the next chapter in your story. And this chapter in your story in particular is within the context of your personal numerological year. This is how the chapters of your story goes. Every year is a different personal numerological year, and that is the context of the story of your life at that particular phase. It helps you to understand what you are to focus on, what is your business and what is not your business, where is the futility and where is the fulfillment. How do you align? If you don't understand these things, you want to schedule with me behind the scenes so that I can give you the notes, so that I can give you the details, so I can catch you up, so I can get you prepared through a one-on-one session in which these things can be clarified with your personal year. Know your personal year, because your personal year has everything to do with what Mars is going to present. If you understand your personal year, you will find that your Sagittarius point is clarifying what is supposed to unpack in that personal year. It's facilitating what has to open up and be released from shame, guilt, scrutiny, resistance, fear, suppression. It's facilitating the proper environment, circumstances, and status that allows you to flow freely from that Sagittarius, bringing in the most authentic expression of the self out into the living reality. Understand that. This is about facilitating for the personal year. And that facilitation, it has to have a physical representation in the material realm. So for Mars to identify with initiations that starts the physical representation of this reality for you in your world, it has to go through Taurus first, because Taurus is the local earth energy, second house. It's local to the first house expression as earth. When it comes to the community aspect of the self, from the fourth house, Virgo is the closest earth element to that which hosts those themes, and so on and so forth up to Capricorn. But Taurus is where we initiate the materialization of the reality outside of the self, in which we start to realize value. And that value finds its way to what we would call estate, or value that we have procured, confirmed, secured, claimed, cultivated for the self as legacy. As legacy. That is the estate of the self. Understand? Taurus is where it starts, because Taurus is where we clarify and identify this identity of mine that I have refined, that I have revived, that I've restored, that I've reclaimed. Now that I am free, there are things that I like. There are things that I want. There are things that I prefer. There are things that I need. There's a story that I must live out. But the truth of those things are beyond our fears, because our fears still present blockages to what we really want. And so we teach ourselves, tell ourselves that we don't want certain things, or we deny ourselves from certain things, we sabotage certain things because of fear. So we had to get past the fear to get to the full expansive view of that which we want to claim as a conviction of our life. Taurus rules the five senses, that which reads to the soul, that there is value, meaning, pleasure, fulfillment, and aspiration to the status of the I am. There's something that goes with the I am. And in particular, what that is what's being held and suppressed at Sagittarius. So Taurus has to facilitate, there has to be a reality facilitated through Taurus Ceres transit that brings in those resources and materials, relationships, connections, and status that makes all of that more realized. But these are things that people used to scrutinize you for, judge you for, criticize you for, shame you for, guilt trip you over. And that's part of the fear that's behind Pisces. That's part of the anxiety that's behind that calling that Mars is having on you to go forward through Pisces. Because what you realize is they judge me, they criticize me, they scrutinize me, they told me I wasn't allowed to do this, they took claims and bids on my identity, they restricted and confined me as having this limitation of expression. And so whenever I express myself this way or that way, they have a problem with it. Well, you can't entertain that. You must go forward. And you've got to figure that out. You've got to figure that out. So what you're going to find is that at that Pisces point, there is going to be resistance. There is going to be the challenge again. There is going to be the echoings of those past life themes that brought you back, right back around to Sagittarius Black Moon Lilith expression. And that Sagittarius Black Moon Lilith expression is shame, insult, guilt, restriction, suppression on the raw truth of the self, on the honesty of the self. Honesty is something about us that could offend people. It's the honesty of the self. I'll give you an example. You know, like the movie Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey, okay? If he lived in honesty, obviously, you know, people think he's crazy. He'll be offensive. People will write him off, okay? It's the same thing. Matter of fact, you can use me, for example, okay? I channel from the South Node Sagittarius. I have a strong stellium in Sagittarius. So honesty is my forte. All right? When you listen to me every day, you're hearing Sagittarius channel from the South Node to the North Node. That's the fire that you hear. That's the rage that you hear. That's the uncivilized, beastly, high testosterone, you know what I mean, animal nature that you hear in me speaking with conviction of honesty from my soul. I'm speaking from my soul. You can hear that my veins are popping out my neck and I'm speaking from my soul. I'm not speaking from my head. I'm not reading from a paper. And it includes the ignorance in me. It includes that which is of me that is uncivilized. It includes the parts of me that are not refined, that are not pretty, that are not prestigious. That you can't take, you know, to your business meeting with you. You can't show, you know, you can't take me with you in public with this particular type of energy. You have to find that part in yourself. And I've been showing you that for the past few years. You should have been catching on instead of resisting it. You should have been finding it in yourself instead of clutching your pearls, crying about it. Because it's what you got to do, motherfucker. You got to find the shit in yourself. Where's your nigga at in yourself? That's what you got to find. You got to find the nigga in yourself and bring that motherfucker out. I bring my nigga out, and I'm not ashamed of him. You hear my nigga every day. I talk like I'm on some nigga shit every day. And you got to find within you where your nigga is at in you. Because all y'all got a nigga in you. Every one of you. And you got to get in contact with the nigga in you. And bring that motherfucker out. He talk like Boosie. He talk like Finesse 2 times. He's an ignorant motherfucker. She's an ignorant motherfucker. And you got to bring him out. It's your long lost cousin that you ashamed of, but your cousin is the motherfucking truth. And you a damn lie. That's the difference. You're ashamed of the nigga in you, but the nigga in you is the truth in you. That's the difference. It's time for you, the car salesman, to sit your ass down and let that truthful nigga come out. And guide you to holy matrimony. That's how that shit go. So you're supposed to be catching on instead of crying, motherfucker. You missed the other part of the message. Sagittarius in your natal birth chart has a particular house. That house holds the themes of what you're trying to bring out into your reality. It's what you got to align with, and it's what you have to have an emphasis of expression on through Pisces. Understand that. Taurus, Ceres and Taurus, a shift is happening. Where you used to have your footing and comfort, you have to switch spots now. Okay, so it's like...
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Shut up, Ceres. Well, that was the damn phone she talking. Ceres on the phone. So, speaking of Ceres. So anyway, what where was my train of thought? So, Ceres and Taurus, you're switching your grounding. You're switching what you're using as a foundation of your stability and comfort. So Ceres has to be there to facilitate that and bring it in, particularly to Taurus themes in your life and second house in your life. This also includes you may have to switch up how you're making money, how you're creating provision, how you're channeling wealth to yourself to sustain yourself, how you're being resourceful, how you're providing for the self. Because for most of us, many of us, if not all of us, we got tied up in this because of provision, because of money. You got to work. You have to go to this job or career or live out this lifestyle because you have to take care of yourself. You have to pay bills. You have to take care of your family, your children, whatever else. But you're swapping places in what you're doing to achieve those ends. Jupiter is going to help you to do that. And Jupiter is going to use your purpose in that rather than what you have to do, Capricorn. It's now what you're called to do, Aquarius. And financing has to go along with that. Stability has to be included in that picture or how that's supposed to look. And all of this is going to be co-created for you. I think we get the point. Okay, so let's wrap this up, with the main point of details. Ceres is how you, that's the care that you need, that you have to facilitate. And Ceres goes around the 12 houses directing care according to the evolution process that's taking place. Okay? Care and resources. Ceres is the base root of the word cereal in itself. Okay? Cereal, coming from wheat, obviously. Which also correlates with loaves, being that, Jesus, the allegorical value related to the Virgo and Pisces axis. Of course, you remember the story of the loaves. You understand, and things of that nature that goes back to Virgo. But anyway, wheat is what made us civil, is what grounded us as civilized sedentary tribes. Okay? Wheat. All right? Crops. Wheat representing crops. Not just limited to wheat, but that which, represents or symbolizes, crops. Which rooted us in sedentary nature. Okay? And so, Ceres includes those, when it comes to Virgo, it relates to personal care, okay, and refinement of yourself and your circumstances, as well as health, hygiene, things of this nature, that which maintains the integrity or value of the self, the vitality or the health of the self. And when it comes to Cancer, it's the emotional needs that is required or needed, okay? And so, as well as domestic, okay? Domestic relationship, all that goes back into reading to the inner child that we are okay, we're fine. You can now focus on expression and creativity because you are okay. But the security of the inner child is first, then expression, okay? It has to go in that direction. So, Ceres wants to facilitate the reality that reads to the inner child. We have become ourselves now. We have migrated out of imprisonment, conformity, entrapment, suppression. Okay, we've made it out of that to where we can now create and co-create at will without these restrictions and constraints. So there are certain things that you need from Taurus of financing, resources, materials that sustains you. This is not to be misunderstood for the comforts of indulgence. God damn, we got to get out of that shit. I fucking swear. gotta get out of that mentality, the comfort of fucking indulgence. Not knowing the difference between what you need and what you fucking want. What is sufficient and what is excess. Not knowing the difference between what is luxury, what is abundance, what is bounty. If you have more than one option, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, if you have more than one option, you have abundance. If you have more than one option, you have abundance. If you have what you need, you have wealth. If you have what you want, you have luxury. Can we please know the fucking difference? Ceres wants us to facilitate what's needed for your well-being. Do we understand? Are we at the point of maturity where we understand that there are many things that we want that is not good for our well-being? There are many things that we pursued, that we ran after, that we really want, that is not fucking good for you. There are many things, persons, circumstances that you may not feel desirable to. You may not want it. You may not like it at first. But it's exactly what you need. It is what is good for you. But it takes maturity to see that. God help us with what has become of us in America and our inability to discern these differences. You will need to know the differences going forward, or you will miss the unfolding of your destiny as something that's out to get you rather than something that's out to bless you. Ceres of Taurus is going to be trying to Virgo. Virgo is where the anxiety lingers. The loss of control lingers, and there has to be a solution. Taurus is where it begins, cultivation, second house. And as an earth point, it redirects itself to the sixth house. The 10th house is also trying to that. So Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, these are trying to Ceres in Taurus. It's also at the cusp of fire and earth, Aries and Taurus. That cusp point of fire and earth coming from Taurus, Aries behind it, with Virgo, Leo's behind it, and with Capricorn, Sagittarius behind it. So the intention of Ceres is about to redirect itself towards grounding, stability, infrastructure, efficiency, permanence, roots, establishment. Why does this come now? Because it initiates the grounding of the identity, the establishment of the identity, the footing of the identity, the stage of the identity, the physical outward reality and expression and representation, materialization of that which expresses that this was indeed held in the heart and the mind. Your reality that reflects back to you who you are. Mind you all that karma, active karma, is now switching to Aries in the first house. Okay? Active karma for the next 2.5 years. You already know the deal. Direct motion, retrograde, direct motion. First decan, Aries. Direct motion, retrograde, direct motion. Second decan, Aries. Direct motion, retrograde, direct motion. Third decan Aries. You know the fucking deal. Yes, karma is here at Aries in the first house. It's not something to fear. It's something to embrace and remain receptive to the fact that there are certain lessons that you have to learn. In discipline, accountability, authority, maturity, self-regulation, boundaries. And how to properly manage Aries consciousness. How to exercise Aries consciousness without incurring karma. But you have to learn through karma so that you no longer incur karma through usage of that consciousness. How do you think that's going to happen? From your 7th house. Okay? Your 7th house is going to include these things. And also your Libra point, of course, naturally in opposition as a polarity. Okay? But somebody has to manifest in your life through relationships as the karmic person or circumstance. And it's good for you to identify who that person is or what that circumstance is that becomes a catalyst of Saturn. When you realize that, you can align with the lesson and not take it personal, not fight it, not resist it, but align with what it is intended to teach you. Knowing what role to play. Knowing how to convert yourself out of the matrix into the soul context of the self. When you convert yourself into the soul context of the self, you're able to perceive, conceive, and receive what the soul lesson is at hand and what the other person is helping to accomplish with you through the soul, not through the illusion of the physical altered reality. In the physical altered reality, the person who manifests as Saturn can look like someone who, they're so controlling. They're so restrictive. They're encroaching on my freedom. I can't do this and I can't do that because this person. Overbearing, rigid, so on and so forth. But you're looking at the illusion of the presentation of the Saturn and embodiment and catalyst of the physical person. And you're failing to show up to see that underneath there's an active soul with the awareness of particular lessons that you need to learn and align with through that effect that they have upon you. It is not for you to make it about that person, but it is for you to become more receptive to yourself internally to where you do not have Saturn embodiment within the self, which is why the Saturn in the outer expression of the other person is so consequential to you. It's simply because you do not have the Saturn embodiment of the self. So the person who does embody Saturn, it affects you in a way to where you feel like you're being controlled or restricted. But if you exercise that Saturn principle upon the self through the self, align with that in the self, there's nothing that the person can locate in you to press upon you of Saturn energy. You're taking it into your own hands. The identity has to be guarded properly with healthy boundaries. Ceres is at Taurus, clarifying all of these things of what it means to have healthy boundaries. Incorporation of healthy boundaries. values. It's going to enrich this realization in the self so that you can clarify it as you go through Saturn, because this is what you must clarify around the identity in the first house. You have the ball of the I am, but you have to learn how to make it through the line with the ball of the I am without dropping it. Because here they come to get that ball out your hand. They're going to resist. They're going to fight it. They're going to challenge it. They're going to try to subdue you back into the position of docility, the position of convenience for themselves, other people that is, into suppression of your Sagittarius nature. But it's not for you to do that. It's also not for you to be wilding in how you go about doing it, but with wisdom. Authority moves power appropriately, without violation, injury, or destruction. You want to verify the house placement of the transiting Aries? This is where you're going to have active karma for the next 2.5 years. Look into that. Look into that. Mars has assistance. Mars has assistance from his mother through the moon in Capricorn. Now, this is parallel to the appropriation of the relationship between Aries and Cancer as algorithm of spirit and the appropriate protocol when it comes to usage of algorithm of spirit, Aries and Cancer. You have Jupiter in Cancer going direct. Our mother's house, our mother's queendom, our mother's home. Aries understands that he is to get his authorization from the eyes of his mother. So likewise, an archetype of these algorithms of spirit, Mars and the moon, Aries and Cancer. Okay, so the moon is in Capricorn, the exalted conviction of Mars, Capricorn. What this does is it lends us intuitive insight into our number 8 conviction. In other words, if I were to look at this decision as the precedence of initiating a project, a future trajectory, a strategic direction that I am to take, an action that I know is going to have lasting consequences and outcome for my future. The moon is there to lend the balance of intuitive conviction to that idea, which is quite logical. And that supports Mars and what's being asked of us at the North Node of decisiveness and fated opportunity. This is an opposition that is Capricorn moon. It's an opposition to direct motion Jupiter in Cancer. This opposition, we know, is integration. That integration is, I'm considering in balance, in harmony, my personal comfort and security and the risks that I must take. Capricorn and Cancer. I have to take some risk. I have to endure some discomforts. I have to bite the bullet to get to the top of the mountain that now is presented itself to me, because I know, even though I am compelled, this will not be easy. It will not be an overnight task. It is a journey. It is a process. So there's support with the decisions that we have to make.